Hey guys, Mark from Modus here. Today we are looking at the 4-position lift and trying to develop internal rotation of the hip. Rotation in the hip is a very important range of motion to develop, and we are looking with the internal rotation of the hip. If you're lacking external rotation of the hip to sit cross-legged, go check out our active pigeon video. So to set up, we are looking to create an imaginary 90-degree angle right above this knee where my shins would in theory meet. So my shins come together, we've got 90 degrees there, and I sit into my back hip as best as you can. Now depending on your range of motion in the internal rotation, you may not be able to get this cheek to the ground, and there may be space here, and that's okay. As long as you're able to shift weight into the joint, that's perfectly fine. Whether or not you get the cheek down, well, that's what we're trying to develop. Once we're in this position, you're going to press from the knee, shin, and ankle into the ground, very actively pushing them down into the ground, and you feel a bit more start to work through the hip. So now keep pushing through those points, press into the ground, coming up onto your knees. Squeeze your glutes, push your hips forwards, and twist away from the back leg. And we sit back down. The focus should be on pressing through this back leg. I don't want you to shift too much into the front leg. That's going to challenge the external rotation of your front leg. If you're unable to shift the weight to that leg at all, we may need to make some changes, and I'll show you how to do that at the end. I want you to start with 5 repetitions and a 10-second hold, but that hold is not going to be at the top of the range of motion. You're going to sit as low as you can, shifting the weight into this back hip, into the back leg here, and go as low as you can before the little plop, the little fall to the ground. So you shift as much weight into the leg as possible, go as low as you can, and hold there for the 10 seconds before coming out of it. Now, what if you do this and you're finding it too easy? To increase the difficulty with this, we start getting rid of momentum. You'll notice in the previous rep, I used some momentum to get up onto my knees. If that feels very easy for you, instead lean first, no momentum, reach with your arms if you need, as this helps lift you up, and then press from the leg. Notice there will be a tendency to lean and then still use a little bit of a hop. Get rid of the hop altogether, shift weight, press through the leg, twist away, do the whole rep. But make sure there's no cheating in that. As you continue to get stronger, you reduce the lean. So maybe you can start here without any momentum and press up, but then you gradually take it further and further back until you can stay upright and just press through the leg to get to the end of the range of motion. If you find pain in this knee, first thing to try is point this back toe. Sometimes, depending on knee health, this creates a bit of rotation in the knee that can be problematic. If you're unable to point the toe because of ankle range of motion, then we may have to address the knee first. Also notice the distance of your knees from your hips. If I slide myself very far forwards, you'll notice that this is only a small distance I have to lift up. So if you have a good middle split, you can get away with a bit of a cheat where you won't have to use any strength through the internal rotation. Bring the knees closer together, shift the hips further back, and this will make it more difficult and load the hip more. Now, if you have any pain through the hip or it's really uncomfortable to shift weight onto the hip and you can't lift up whatsoever, we may need to reduce the range. And you would get some height, higher being easier, lower being harder, taking you towards the full thing on the floor to sit on. Knees, legs are all off of the surface. So now it should be a bit easier to get that cheek down to the ground, and it shouldn't be as intense on the joint. Everything remains the same, pressing through this back leg, knee, shin, ankle into the ground, and coming up. Make it harder, less momentum, reduce the lean. That's all for this one. If you have any questions or need some personalized help, send us a message, comment below with whatever you're looking for, or reach out by email if you have any questions about personalized online support or coaching. Stay on the move.